I am with Christian Held, MBA from Denmark, but MBA is not from Denmark.
Right.
And, Christian was here in '92, and you are an MBA graduate from IBMI. We've already talked a little bit, but perhaps this is for the video. Could you just tell us how you ever managed to come to Indonesia as to get your MBA?
The reason behind it was when I graduated with my bachelor degree back in '85, Copenhagen Business School. And after that, I started working in Danish broadcasting, and I received the position as finance manager in TV news, and tried at that time part-time to achieve my master degree in economics. And I realized that if I have to graduate, I have to take a sabbatical for my job. At that time, for most students with a bachelor degree in business administration, the desire was to obtain an MBA. Denmark did not offer MBA. We offered other academic degrees, but not MBA. And those Danes which have the ability and try to look for MBA abroad, of course, and if the word typical exists for maybe 10-15 students per year, the typical was to go to US, to one of the major schools, or a few major schools in Switzerland or Spain. But with all respect to US, I did at that time, we are back in, when I started to make my consideration in the late 80s, I did not see the future belonging to US. I actually see the future belonging to Asia. So I contacted the major schools in Asia, which was Chulalongkorn in Thailand, Bangkok, National University of Singapore in Singapore, and IBMI at that time in Kemang, and arranged for a meeting, arranged to see the classes and for interview. And after seeing those schools, I decided to apply for IBMI. And I think the reason behind that is that after seeing the class in Bangkok, I do not in anyhow question their skills or their academic demands. It was just that the classes there was extremely quiet. Not only extremely, to an extreme degree quiet. And in Singapore, it was more important for them to show me their swimming pool with Olympic size, which probably cost a fortune, than to talk around their schools, their curriculums, and their academics. When I came to IBMI, it was in Kemang, a relatively humble place, 2 classes, but the environment was in no way humble. There was a lot of discussions in the class.
Is that when you visited
I visited
the class?
Yes, visited the class,
Right.
and I was interviewed by the management and the faculty, and I decided to apply, and I was lucky to be accepted. I was actually accepted to the class prior to my arrival, because I have to find funding. So I arrived here in December 1991 and started in the beginning of January 92 and graduated in December.
If you can back up a little bit, who interviewed you? Do you remember?
Margaret O'Sullivan.
Okay.
And Ron, I think he was.
Ron,
They never told me he was a Harvard professor who taught the class before mine. I think his name was Ron. I'm not sure.
Okay. Right. So
He was outspoken too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe also Pak Prabowo, who I have in macroeconomics.
Right. Unfortunately, a few years ago, passed away. Yes. So a good friend. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. You talked about. First of all, before you talk about your Sundays, can you talk about what was your a typical day in class at IBMI during that time?
Yeah. Actually, my day didn't start Monday. It more or less started Friday evening, because the it was a case-oriented,
Right.
500 cases. So we were handled cases for the next maybe 2 days in 4 or 5 subjects. So I read all the cases in the weekend, and also the theory or the books. And I have a huge advantage compared with my Indonesian friends is that I was alone here. I have no friends, I have no family here. So I have the ability to dedicate my weekend. So I use my weekend simply to study. And I took the liberty to go to school. And indeed Sunday morning was pretty good for me because it was more or less empty. So I went into the classroom, put on 2 things, the RC and some Danish music, to the disgrace of the Stadtband, but it was the conditions. So I have the ability to read and prepare pretty good, which gave me a double advantage because it gave me advantage that I early on know exactly what the case was about. And many of those cases there was a second edition giving afterwards. And then I do not need to go back and read the first one.
Right.
So in that sense, went up to Friday afternoon where, my Indonesian friends took weekend and we went down the corner in Kenang and have a thank God it's Friday here. And for them it means weekend, for me it means start to read again.
Right, right. And when you the day, I remember we used to have, and I wonder if it was in your day, we used to have at least 3 sessions a day with cases. Or how did they go?
Yeah,
in your time?
it was. I think nearly every session was based upon a case.
Right.
It could be one case go over 2 sessions. It could also be that you during one class have or one session have more than one case, and there was some theory in it, and it was the ability to understand the underlying challenge in the case and to use not all the theory you read, but the relevant theory,
Right.
and how you're going to have those 2 in harmony. And in the MBA at that time, or 1 year, was based upon 3 semesters. And in the last semester, we have, I do not know the name, was it maybe business policies, where they're trying to merge
Right.
all these different accounting and finance.
Computer-based simulation.
Yeah. They also have that, but also, it was a game, but it was a fun game.
Yes.
But they also try to, there's the ability not only to a computer active game, but also that you in class demonstrate the ability to know when was it proper to use marketing, when was it proper to use other things. And I actually recall, because marketing for me at that time was making great advertising. And we were actually told prior to the final examination, be aware of one thing. You can come with all your bright ideas, and they might be bright, but if you're not able to justify them based upon your financial assumptions, do not count. So you have to sit there and be creative, and at the same time be sure that it actually makes sense. I mean, based upon the, of course, the investment, and also able to pay back. And I think it was challenging, fun. And
Did your class and you use a lot of the group rooms? Did you do a lot of group discussions?
Yeah, we more or less lived in the group room. And it was, I think we were 6 groups, the total class, around 30 students.
30 students,
I think we were 32 actually. And the group room was dedicated to the group,
Right.
and the group was not changed during the year. So you come indeed to know your pals from that pretty good. So we use it, yes, and we have the ability to decorate it
Right.
in our way.
You mentioned Chulalongkorn, and as you said, it's just the characteristic of the program. Was very quiet. How lively did you feel your stay at IPMI was throughout the year? Was there ups and downs, or was it more consistent?
Yes and no, but I'll say downs is actually things I learned from, because the students here were squeezed, probably deliberately. And when people are squeezed, they sometimes act stressed. My friends did, so did I. So I learned a lot about intercultural skills. also among my friends, among me, and yes, it's. On the other hand, it's not on the other hand, but the outcome was that all the time there was respect. And if there have been grievance, you meet afterwards and say, okay, in the story we learned that, and what can we do? And you also have the ability to say, here you came a little too close to my borders. Okay, I know it, and I will respect it in the future. And I think it worked pretty well.
Right. How's the? Did you feel that being in English, was that a struggle for the class in any way at that time?
Not all have the same ability in English, nor did I. And to be honest, it also counts for me as an advantage that this is a non-English, Bahasa Indonesia is not English. So everyone there was on the same level with having English as second language. Some of my friends have their undergraduate taken in the US, and of course they have pretty good English skills. But after a few months, it starts to work for everyone. And I also learned to speak English during my time in Italy.
Right.
Definitely.
Okay. Who are, just to remind me, who are some of your teachers or facilitators during that time?
I have Pak Muklis in communication.
Right. Pak Muklis Alimin, right?
Yeah. And Prabowo, late Prabowo. Unfortunately, I did not have the pleasure to have you, Pak. Margaret Sullivan in finance.
Yes. Accounting as well?
No,
okay.
It was a lady, Vijik.
Oh, oui. In fact, she's here now.
Okay.
She came back. Yeah.
Okay. And I have James Agree
Right.
in business policy.
Okay. Yes.
I think those are
The ones you remember.
yeah.
Right.
It's but no doubt when I meet them I would know who they are
Yes.
immediately.
Right.
And I have Kathleen Goodman in OB.
All right. Yes. We meet her husband occasionally here because he's still heading Department of Voice of America, so he comes here.
Okay, I have no idea what her
Yes,
husband did at all. Yes.
Okay.
And Park Hadi for marketing.
Yes. Antarikso, did you have him at the time?
Pardon?
Antarikso?
No,
Okay.
unfortunately not.
Right. Okay. Who was your commencement speaker for the graduation? Do you remember? Was it a minister?
Yeah, Astrid.
Sorry?
Or you're challenging me
No,
pronouncing
no.
Indonesian names, but I think it was the founder, Mr. Asvin Bush.
Oh,
Just show me a picture. of him.
Was the one downstairs?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
No, the one on the wall.
Yeah. That's right. Okay.
What? How do I pronounce his name?
Bustanil Arifin?
Bustanil Arifin.
Pak Bus. Easier.
Sorry.
No, that is quite right. Going back to it, when you finished,
Yeah.
First of all, can I just ask you, how did you feel what your background coming here, how did it translate to what you did back home in Denmark?
Mentioned the background I have when I arrived, or the background I received here.
The background you received here, well, plus of course, obviously you had your background previously.
It was actually pretty well taken. I have officially in Denmark my MBA from here, completely acknowledged as a Danish academical degree. And respect around it. And after finishing my job as a civil servant, I went into Maersk, where I have no problem at all, and also an IBM. So in that sense, it's completely international for me. And also, but I think, to be honest, it's not only an idea about all respect to it, no doubt about it. But I think if people go somewhere far away and take a proper education, they would be more international in their minds.
Right.
But of course, if you take a non-knowledge education, you would struggle much more when you come back. Because if your first move is that you have to justify what you have done, you have already lost.
Right.
And I've never been in that position. So yes, no doubt.
Were there any other foreign students in your class?
Not in my class.
Yeah.
There was one in the class before.
Ah.
Ted Collette.
Oh, right,
Canadian.
yes, of course. Okay.
I know when I was here there was a Dane who was considering to come here, but we never saw him.
All right. Yeah, no, you were told me.
Yeah.
You're the dean in our history.
And I never ever find it as a disadvantage, and I never ever feel it as an advantage. And I think coming here as a foreigner on expat, many expats here are sent out for their companies from back home and are living a typically expat life. I was not living a typical expat life. I have rented a small room in a house in Tibet, and I took the bajaj to here every morning. So I was living quite equally with my Indonesian friends.
Right.
And I think it was pretty good.
Yeah. Probably not many of them might have done a bajaj, right?
No, I mean, with all respect, if you have the English skills make it possible for you to come here and also are able to find the fundings, then not a typical bajaj.
Yeah, right. All right. Any final thoughts that you have now coming back to IPMI after how many years?
25.
25 years.
Not regretting. Quite emotional. And if I may say, pretty proud.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
Sama-sama, Pak.
That's terrific. No, this is probably not part of the interview. Itu bisa dimatiin.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think.
No, because we in the case center we're thinking of